One of the challenges of being a beekeeper is keeping your smoker lit. I find that using pre-made bundles of smoker fuel that I can just pop it right in there as a cartridge, close it off, light it, pop it in there as a cartridge, and then when I get low, when the fuel gets low, burns down, I can just take another cartridge and pop it in there. So I make these cartridges like this. I use eucalyptus bark. I have a whole bucket of it here. Got a whole stand of eucalyptus trees up behind me. You can use anything that strips off in fairly thin and woody. Works best for me. You may find differently, but some people use grass, pine needles, whatever kind of fuel you want. But I find that having it in a bundle like this works out really well. I also take a little bit of lavender. I also grow lavender because that helps calm pretty much anybody, the bees too, and it's supposed to help against varroa mites. You want to make sure the cartridge is short enough to be able to fit inside your smoker without being crunched down. Take a bit of string, wrap it around. You don't really have to get fancy with it. And then tie it off. You want to keep it kind of dense. You know, too much air in there and the fuel will burn out too quickly, which is why I don't like using grass. It just burns too fast. And there you go. I made this one quick and dirty. I probably went a little too long, so I can take and I can trim off a little bit with pruning shears. Of course, I didn't want to use the sharp ones for this. There you go. Pop it in there. I will make a whole bucket full of these. Keep the lid on the bucket so that water doesn't get to it. Leave a bucket full of these at every bee yard. And then you always carry the parts around to make the stuff. You know, you can stop and get some kind of fuel source, whether it's bark strips or pine needles again, or lavender, what have you, and make up a bunch of these. That way you don't really have to slow down when you're keeping bees. You see the smoker starts slowing down a little bit, open it up, make sure there's a little bit of fuel in there. If there's not, you still want hot coals, just pop one of these in there and it'll light off on its own. In order to light them, I use one of these self-lighting propane torches. I will light it just like a cigar, you know. Light this thing up, burn the end, let it get on fire, and then put the burning end down first inside the smoker. And if you're like me, or most any beekeeper I know, you got more than one smoker, you want to pay attention to the size of the cartridge so it'll fit all of your smokers. Or custom make a bucket full of the right length for each smoker that you have, and carry them all with you. These are things that I carry in my car. I carry a hive tool, a pocket veil with a hat, smoker fuel and a smoker, and I put that in a metal can so that I don't catch my car on fire while I'm going down the road, which is usually pretty much of a hassle. Eucalyptus bark works really well, and I use it specifically because I was told by one beekeeper once years ago, and you know whether this may or may not be true, but the eucalyptus oil works to help control varroa mites. I haven't seen that really, but in my experience, the eucalyptus bark does have enough oil in it that it will keep burning, at least smoldering, a lot better than some other smoker fuels like the pellet fuels. I've tried those, used to use those before I went to this method, and the pellet fuels, they would smother themselves. I didn't find that to be very helpful. The reason why I bundle it like this is so that there's some air in there. You want to be able to have some air to sustain combustion. You don't have to get real fancy. The lavender probably doesn't do anything, but hey, I have it laying around, so I use it. I will go over lighting it in another video that I'll add to this one later on when I get to the bee yard. But that's the way I do it. hopefully this works for you too.